Thank you, Priyank. That's quite useful as a tip. Thank you, Priyank. It's an immense pleasure for me to introduce to our audience today Mr. Govindraj Etiraj, our esteemed moderator for both panel discussions that will take place this afternoon. Govindraj is a seasoned television and print journalist and founder and editor of India's first data journalism initiative, India Spend. He also writes for newspapers like Business Standard on business issues and anchors seasonal shows on channels like Headlines Today and Rajya Sabha Television. The first panel that Govindraj will be moderating today will be with the two French giants, Schneider Electric and Engie India. So their journey so far in India, as well as their vision for the years to come. Govindraj, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. Okay, welcome everyone. We are going to be looking at two companies and in a somewhat case study format, but the idea is very simply to understand from both these companies what they've been doing in the last couple of years. And this is not something that others do not know. Schneider, for example, has been in a very, very large and public acquisition, which has just concluded after a long time. And we've also seen a fair amount of activity from Engie in the automotive component space. But the idea here is to really ask both our speakers, Anil Chaudhary and Nirav Nanavati, to speak for a few minutes each on the few things that they've been seeing in the economy and the market that stood out for them, their own trends and highlights from their company's perspective or their company plus industry's perspective, and then maybe a quick conversation if we still have time. So on that note, let me hand over quickly to Anil Chaudhary of Schneider Electric.
Thank you, Govindraj. Your Excellency, Mr. Manuel Lane, Mr. Hemant Kanoria, Sumit, and other members of IFCCI team, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's a great pleasure to connect with you today. Schneider Electric in India today is one of the largest, I will say, French companies present here, as we have just completed our deal with L&T Electrical Automation. We are approximately 28,000 people, and as far as manufacturing in India is concerned, now we already had 23 sites, and now we are adding five more, and we will be 28 sites in India. And also with this entity, we will have few sites outside India as well. Now, our journey in India has been, quite long, and has, like any other global company, when you go to new markets, it has seen own ups and downs. We have started our business here as a JV in 1963, and then, of course, it went through various ups and downs. But what was very important that the Schneider Electric management has taken a view on India as a long-term view, and in 2003 we started looking at India, which will be take its own time, but it will be a big market, and this is what it is turning out to be. So we started our first manufacturing site at that point of time. And then slowly with inorganic growth, we started building on our base here. And it was our presence in India is a success of both organic as well as inorganic, strategy, which we have put in place. And with today, from 2007, we started accelerating, investments here more. And the acquisition of L&T Electrical Automation will say that from 2007 to now, inorganically, we have almost completed local, which are present, which are in India, but also global companies which we've acquired, which had operation in India. So give you a scale from about 150 million euros turnover. Lot of that was imported at that point of time. I'm talking of 2007, with 1,500 people. Today, we are after 13 years, we are 28,000 people. And we are talking of an activity of Schneider Electric in India, which is to the tune of 2 billion euros. And that's the kind of scale in which we are operating. And in terms of the size of the country, now we are at par with France, almost same size of activity there. So, and this has been, a consistent approach. And of course, doing business in India, we all know that you have to probably enjoy all the uncertainties. You have to enjoy all those, you have to be probably patient with all those kind of what we call as, mess and surprises. But in the end, it's a long-term story. It's a long-term view you have to take always on a business. And that has what paid us today. And when I talk in that, we are talking of, when we're talking of manufacturing in India, we have created some best technology lighthouses of manufacturing in India, bringing Industry 4.0 as part of our tailored supply chain. And 50% of what we are producing in India almost is exported to more than 30 countries. And that gives us the scale. That gives us what we call as Make in India. And we have local innovation and R&D for developing products locally, but also then taking those to the export markets. And this is where, when we talk of contribution to Make in India, when we talk of the contribution to Digital India, with some of the lighthouses of manufacturing by implementing our Industry 4.0 solutions in our factories in Hyderabad and Bangalore, we are creating. We have created an infrastructure which sets the pace for sharing this knowledge with a wider industry to create the productivity and efficiency. And this is where we are committed. And in the end, I'll say that, we are also very proud to be participating with the growth of India, be it Digital India, and especially the Skill India. And we have almost, trained 130,000 plus youth in technicians for renewable energies, for solar energy, for electricity. And they are now part of our ecosystem of growth, which are there. And as we move on with this L&T electrical automation, it sets further our ambition for continuing contributing and growing in India, for India, and from India for globe. That is what we believe in, and that's what the story we follow when we look at India as a country, or as a country where we can have the manufacturing base, we can have a good talents coming from India, which can work globally. And also a lot of development which we still foresee to come, which defines our long-term ambition in India as well. That's what I'll just like to add here. Over to you.
Right. Thanks for that, Anil. May I hand this over to Nirav? Over to you for a few minutes.
Sure. Thank you, Govindraj. Good afternoon, everyone. Your Excellency, Mr. Kanoria, Sumit, other colleagues. Thanks for having me. So, as I like to say, Engie is probably the largest company people have never heard of. It's not a household name, to be honest, but we are the world's largest independent power producer today. So in excess of 100 gigawatts of installed capacity worldwide. And our history in India is long and rich, and as many other companies, quite tumultuous as well. We started in 1993. That was our first avatar. Today we are in our third avatar, which I think is the most relevant one, if you ask me, and that is basically focusing on the Make in India and the acceleration to clean energy campaigns that the government of India has launched. We essentially operate in three different verticals in India. The B2G vertical, which is participating in large-scale government tenders for solar as well as wind energy production. The B2B vertical, which is empowering and enabling large global consumers, industrial producers on their zero carbon transition journey. So helping them with energy efficiency, facilities management, hand-holding them with the tools that we possess to lead them on the path to green carbon and zero carbon transition. And finally, there's a B2C segment, which is a combination of CSR initiatives as well as commercial initiatives where we sell directly to rural consumers in the hinterland of India. So empowering villagers, enabling the access of energy, clean energy rather, to people who have not been electrified yet. So that's the area that we serve in that vertical. Our journey today is a combination of organic and inorganic steps that we've taken over the last couple of years. Today, we are about over 1.5 gigawatts of renewable energy spread out across the wind and solar spaces. This is all large scale. We are also serving some industrial customers. That part of our business is fairly nascent. And then we have about 35,000 small rural customers in UP, Bihar, and Orissa, where we sell them solar home solutions. About 1,000 people in the Engie family in India. That's, I'll hand it over to you, so to leave some time for Q&A, Govindraj. Thanks.
Right. Thank you very much. My apology for saying that you were an auto component company. I confused it with another company who comes later. I meant to say that you were in low carbon energy and services. Now, I also understand that you have more than a gigawatt of installed capacity in India, or is that not true?
That is correct. That's almost 1.2 gigawatts now. And the way we do our business is we typically bring in partners. So we are the physical operating partner on the ground, but then we have financial investors coming in. So we have over a gigawatt of solar and almost 300 megawatts of wind energy that we are operating on.
Right. And even globally, and I'll come to you, Anil, in a moment, even globally, more than a third of your capacity, as I understand, is renewable. So how is that transition, or what speed has that transition happened? And how do you see that panning out similarly in India as well?
Yeah, I think fair question. And as the world moves very fast, so have we. So I think a large preponderance of our renewable capacity has come online over the last 5 to 6 years. And it's accelerating. We've shut down coal. We've divested out of our coal businesses. So the only focus right now is growing clean energy, and that's predominantly wind, solar, and within wind, it's both onshore as well as offshore, where we have large positions globally. We're looking at India from an offshore perspective just because of the large coastline and opportunity that India offers. Also floating solar because of the large amounts of dams and reservoirs that exist in India, which could be used as a template for floating solar. That transition is accelerating very fast, and because of the scale that India offers, India remains a very key and relevant market for us.
Give us a sense on projects that you have underway currently.
So we have two very large projects underway. One is a 250 megawatt wind installation that we're doing in Tamil Nadu. That was under the auspices and context of the SECI program, which is a central off-taker. It's a very large area. If you think about, if you just want to put it in perspective, it's almost 1,200 square kilometers spread over 50 villages in near Tuticorin in almost the southern tip of Tamil Nadu, which is the wind corridor. A very large area. So that's one. Another one is a solar park project that we're undertaking in Gujarat. That's 200 megawatts in North Gujarat.
Right. So would this be, I'm just trying to remember, would this be somewhere near Kudankulam where the nuclear power plant is?
Very close. Not exactly there, but very close, yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Anil, let me come to you. So tell us about what you did not say so far. I mean, what has been your the process of bringing in L&T? Like, what is the new opportunities that you see as a combined company? And also, what are the things that you were doing minus L&T, which is the classic Schneider, including on the retail front?
Yes. So, L&T project we have been following for many years, while the market saw it that we have signed a deal 2.5 years ago, and then we have closed it, which is also a very long time. And this is what I call as, all those challenges and uncertainties you have to keep on following. But we were resilient on this project. And this is true because, when we look at L&T Electrical Automation, it is almost like 5,000 people, a fully integrated company with a very, local manufacturing innovation mindset, which meets the requirements of new and emerging economies. And as Schneider Electric, as a global company, but we operate very locally. We want to meet the requirements of the countries where we operate, be it in terms of the specification, be it in terms of the way the various standards and the solutions are looked at. So I think L&T strengthens our portfolio to that extent that because we are in the business of energy management, electrical and automation. And if we look at India growth story, I think what India has to be as a developed nation almost like 50-60% of the infrastructure is still to be developed. And that kind of potential, if we can fulfill with the now L&T electrical automation being part of that and providing the customer a wider choice of solutions at whatever the prices, references they want to weigh it. And that's what probably we will, from Schneider Electric portfolio, saturate and provide the solutions to customer, which will come with the Schneider Electric presence, which was already there, and now bringing L&T Electric. You talk about the retail part, because this is one area which is very much you have to operate locally. You are in Chavdi Bazaar, you are in Chandni Chowk, you have to have those retailers, and as a multinational, sometimes we can skip those kind of things. I think India's growth of what consumers want comes from that counters, which are the especially in the retail side. I think with the L&T network, with the Luminous network which we have, and the Schneider Electric network, we will be close to 90,000 points of sales in this country. That means, if we see that any other second corner of the street, you will find a Schneider Electric brand being available either from L&T Electrical Automation or Schneider Electric or from Luminous. And India has a huge potential. We have still people which have access to energy, and this is where we want, and also the productivity and efficiency of the whole ecosystem of energy. There's a lot to be done and a lot of industrialization to be happen, a lot of infrastructure to be built, and with digitization, where India is taking leapfrogging and taking big steps, data centers, telecom, and we are seeing healthcare now with the COVID coming in. Everywhere we see a huge potential for many years to come. And that's where this bringing together of L&T Electrical Automation and Schneider Electric under the umbrella of Schneider Electric will give us a lot of potential and choice to our customers at every point, whatever kind of solution they want, wherever they want in the country. And with our people being very close to them, that will make a difference for us, as we see.
Right. So let me get a sense of larger trends, and these trends could be global that influence India, or just global in general. So let me begin with you, Nirav. Tell us about what you're seeing in maybe in the post-COVID world. I thought I'll hold my COVID question for a little longer, but then Anand's already mentioned the word, so now I must jump into it.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. I think the train has left the station, as I say, about on the acceleration to renewables and clean energy, and not just in terms of large infrastructures, but also in terms of decentralized sources for energy. And there are three trends that are shaping for a while now, but I think they're gaining larger and greater momentum as we go along, and that is digitization, decentralization, and decarbonization. And all these three trends are intermingling to achieve solutions that have hitherto not been seen before in the industry. So we talk about battery storage commingling with wind and solar at a single site to offer round-the-clock power or load-following electricity, shaped electricity to industries so that when they need it, they have it on demand. Recharging infrastructure to see the sprouting of charging infrastructure and electric vehicles in Europe, which is now quickly making its way to cities in India, be it Bangalore, Ahmedabad. There are a number of places. Delhi's come up with a policy as well. So that's a new thing. Managing large installations. I talk about digitization now. Managing large installations remotely, so that you have up to date real-time information on how your assets are performing, whether you're being productive or not, whether you're being efficient or not. So I think all these three trends, this is what we're seeing around our assets globally, are commingling and coming together to create value for our clients.
You mentioned this massive 250 megawatt plant in Tamil Nadu, southern Tamil Nadu. Where would that be managed from?
So that be managed centrally at our Delhi office. Mm-hmm. We have a network center that we operate where we'll know exactly which turbine is operating at what speed, at what wind velocity, at any given point in time, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So it's all fully automated, and that's how it'll be managed.
And you don't have, I'm sure you have people on ground, but compared to maybe the past, you're saying that the number of people there is much less, and you have sensors which send all the data back to your control centers.
That's exactly right. And that's where, we interact with people like Schneider to make sure we have the automation and the technology that we need to be able to manage, operate, and maintain these plants remotely, because as the number of plants grow, because these are large swaths of land, you need fewer and fewer people then to make sure that you're being efficient.
Right. So trick question. So what do you do about the dust that settles on the I'm not talking about the wind part now, on solar panels in India?
Yeah, so we have cleaning solutions now, automated cleaning solutions, which are robotic in nature, which sit on top of the panels, and then they move every so often on an automated pattern, all remotely controlled. So it's called dry cleaning, instead of the olden times when you used to have piped water by a number of people in your labor force, kind of washing the panels on a routine basis.
Right. Okay. Anil, broad trends that you're seeing, global impacting India.
I think, yes, we are seeing in short term, because the last few months have been very challenging. But the good part is that in spite of all those things, now we see the things coming back, because when I see after, unlock 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, month after month, our sales and our activities are coming back to the pre-COVID level, so which is a good sign. And this is where, some more activities are also taking forth. And Nanavati just said about this, the solutions which we are providing to industry, which is IoT enabled, which are all digital, and which a platform called EcoStruxure. And whether it is for a plant like this, we call it EcoStruxure plant, where you connect different layers at different type, because you can manage the machine at the plant, you can manage multiple machines at the control room in the plant, and you can manage many plants from your headquarters in Delhi, Mumbai, wherever you are. So this is where now there's a lot of demand, and that is also coming because first everybody wants remote, electricity is becoming more digital, and also there is a good demand from the clients now to be sensitive about sustainability and durability and climate. And efficiency and productivity definitely comes in. So we see that as we come out of this situation in the coming months, there is going to be a big push into these technologies. And this is where now we are focusing on, this is where now we are working on, so that we can provide our customers, and the government, infrastructure and all, the kind of productivity, efficiency solution which are sustainable, which are green. All the products, almost 50% of the products and which we are using in our project, they come with green technologies, and which really bring it value for the overall end customers and our clients as well. And we see a big future in our EcoStruxure for various industry, be it a plant, be it grid, be it industry, be it a data center, or be it a building. Everywhere you will see a lot of requirements coming in, and that's what we see as a future for the whole industry going forward.
Right, and I'll come to buildings in a moment, but so today's theme is, can India become a global hub both as a market and in manufacturing? So tell us about when you look at the projects underway, as you said that things have started recovering post-COVID, and or projects that are a little ahead in the pipeline. What is the nature of these projects? Is it the digitization and creating the connectivity and the sensors and linking everything up? Is it brand new infrastructure, or is it a mix of all of that?
So first, you used a very important word, hub. With the acquisition of L&T Electrical and Automation, India is now the 4th largest hub for Schneider Electric. The other 3 being in France, of course, and 1 in China, 1 in US. And from this, the objective of this hub is that these teams are empowered to manage the Indian market, and from India, the new economies where the market requirements are more or less, similar to the kind of we are working. So we see that going forward, this is the future that you have to, probably the global companies and the supply chains has to be now more and more, we have seen in the last few months, that you have to be sustainable locally. And that's what we are trying to, work on this. Now, when we look at the future of infrastructure, definitely any infrastructure which is, whether it's a new infrastructure for sure, that has to be more and more digital, more and more connected, more and more remote, more and more, customers will look for sustainable green products and solutions. But there's a huge requirement because the buildings almost consume, 50 to 60% of the energy, wherever we may be. The equation could be different. Now, imagine the efficiency which these buildings, if we run these efficiently, how much contribution they can do positively to the climate challenge which we have. So that is the focus on this. For sure, new buildings have to come with these new technology, but all the brownfield projects and building, this is where we are working with our various clients, that the existing buildings, how we can upgrade the technologies, how we can retrofit with the new technologies, so that they can start having those savings. For sure, it shows into the P&L bottom line, but at the same time, big contribution to sustainability and climate, and also remaining connected, because we have seen in this COVID times, many of our customers which were running essential supply chains, and they were able to run their operations, and our teams have been supporting them remotely. In Bangalore, we have our service bureau which were connected those data centers and all, and they were able to monitor their facilities, and in case something was noticed that there will be some challenge, they were able to tell the clients up in advance. So that's the future, and that's where now this new technologies will help us to keep the infrastructure growing.
Right. Give us an illustration of this. Maybe, let's say, the most challenging moment that you would have seen in the last 5 to 6 months. I mean, you don't have to mention the name of a company, but the nature of challenge and what you did or how your systems responded.
So, of course, hospitals, many of hospitals had a very standard structure, ICUs, OPDs, and all those things. And suddenly there was a need to convert a lot of areas in that hospital into emergency wards where they can get, and I'm talking of very early April and everything. Within 24 hours, we were given a 500 beds facility to be created, which is powered, which is, secure power is there, backup power is there, and the whole electrical distribution for all that area has to be created. Our teams with our partners were able to react fast, and within 24 hours, from picking up the equipment, assembling them, and transporting them, installing them, commissioning them was one. In a normal course, it can take 4 months, 3 months to 4 months. Within 24 to 48 hours, the hospitals were running. Same is the case in another large hospital in the country, which is run, creating a 100-bed facility in a 1 week time to receive the COVID patients with all the facilities. Data center, which was the backbone of all the supply chain and made the country work and connected. Our people, initial time, there was a lot of clarity not there. Our people have traveled on cycle for 24 to 30 kilometers to visit our customers on cycle and provide them the service whenever they require a site, in addition to provide them remotely, because then remotely you sense it, then you have to change a battery or change a device or a thing that you have to go physically. So our people could go that, and that was what some very specific actions which we did with close to our customers' requirements in that time.
Right, and if, as you look at your order book for the next couple of years, and in the, let's say, 18 months or so, and this is really in the context once again of India as a manufacturing hub or a market hub opportunity. How much of this is brownfield and how much of this is greenfield? I mean, brownfield could well be bigger than greenfield, but I'm just trying to understand in terms of where the growth is happening.
Our business, one part, Schneider Electric, and I'm sure many organizations will have their own go-to-market. We are present in multiple segments. As of now, I am catering to almost like any infrastructure. We are in hospitals, we are in data centers, we are in infrastructure, we are in metros, we are in buildings, we are in oil and gas, we are in MMM. So there are, in this case, there are some orders in like MMM is a little bit slow, oil and gas is slow, but utilities, data centers, healthcare, they are, we have order books which are there for us to matter. Exports orders are coming from mature economies because they have come out of this situation early, so all the projects are back. Indian suppliers projects which were announced before COVID, there has been some delay of 3-4 months, but now as the sites are opening up, the site activities are picking up, the demand is coming. I suppose this quarter, the quarter 4 calendar year, could be one which is a defining quarter for us to define how the overall recovery will happen. Because if we can, all the projects being on, if we can able to supply that, then we will have a good green shoots indicators in front of us, which can define that how the 2021 will work out. So we see, mixed segments and mixed views there. Sorry.
Last 2 minutes to go.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, Nirav, let me get you in very quickly. So how do you see in the coming 18 months or so where are you putting your maximum efforts in terms of either converting existing opportunities or creating new ones, or really brownfield versus greenfield?
Sure. So I think the adoption of technology in the new normal post-COVID, I think, has been spoken about fairly eloquently. So I think there's two things I want to leave you with. One is what the world will see very quickly is a flight to quality, and your customers, whether our government customers or industrial customers or even retail consumers, will perceive very quickly who will be the ones left standing at the end of all this. And for people who have credible balance sheets, strong balance sheets, a commitment to quality, I think they will be the winners in the long run. And we're seeing that already, because what we end up building here is assets that have to last 25 or 30 years. So a difference in how we construct them, an emphasis on health and safety, all that comes into play to ensuring that there's sustainable value and quality for the consumer. That's the first thing. Second thing, yes, India has a huge market, a huge scale in terms of an opportunity for a manufacturing hub as well as a market hub. But let's not kid ourselves either. India comes with a lot of noise. I mean, we all know that India assaults you in terms of the senses, the smells, the taste, and the same is true in terms of regulations, policy, etc. What manufacturing and industry needs is a very stable framework of regulatory policy, and primarily focusing on three things: land, labor, and cost of power, and taxation. And if these three or four things are addressed favorably in a long term, I think there is no stopping us. So I would like to see from the authorities more of a focus on these three or four key things that are kind of, I'd say, holding back the further acceleration of Indian industry.
Right, land, labor, and taxation. Anil, your wish list. I mean, what are the two or three things that authorities should focus on in order to make things go faster?
I will say that,
I remember your announcement for L&T, for instance, was in 2018. I think it was mid 2018, and then. Yes,
that's where the authorities comes in, because that's what I said. This is India. If you want to do business in India, you have to be tuned to these kind of uncertainties, and that's what probably is a differentiator of India as well. Now, if I say, because we are talking of of course, I think we all know that industry with law, regulation, land, these are common, and labor, these are common points. But I will say more what we will need is a real serious focus from authorities, from the point of view of some regulations where, all the new infrastructure which is built, they should be more sustainable and more resilient and more, I will say, contributing to the efficiencies of energy. We have been talking of this. There are standards which are being talked of that, but it is also taking a lot of time. But since a lot of infrastructure has to build, if India can take a step forward, like we did in the company laws, or the way the CSR was made as a part of the company law, there were a lot of good things India has shown to the world that we can go ahead. I think on these aspects also there will be a lot of things, that quality of the infrastructure, if there could be a good emphasis on sustainability, on efficiency, and overall energy consumption, that could be great contributor to the, of course, Indian economy as well as to the world climate situation.
Right. That's a good note to end on. We've heard the opportunities, the likely, the likely expansion possibilities in this country, particularly as we go and more towards a more green future, and the contribution of technology to that march, which of course is unending. So on that note, thank you both, and let me hand it back to the organizers.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you so much, Govindraj, for the excellent, crisp moderation, which of course reflects and is only testimony of the experience you come along with. And thank you, Anil and Neera, for joining us today and for the interesting and insightful discussion. We'll now move on to a presentation by Mr. Fatih Jafar, Deputy CEO of Amundi. The virtual floor is yours.